The United States Congress postpones a second vote on immigration after voting down the first, a day after U.S. President Trump stops his policy of separating families at the border. What happens now to the children still in custody? Hello, I'm Anand Naidu, and this is The Heat. The Trump administration says it will maintain a zero-tolerance policy towards anyone who enters the United States illegally. Border Patrol agents were instructed Wednesday to stop referring undocumented parents and children to federal courthouses for prosecution. President Trump heeded to political pressure and reversed his position after more than 2,000 children were separated from their parents and sent to detention centers. CGTN's Nitza Soledad Perez begins our coverage now from McAllen in Texas. Nitza, do we know when these children will be reunited with their families and how?
Anand, no one has a clue on when these 2,300 children will be reunited with their parents. Under this new zero-tolerance policy, anyone attempting to cross the border illegally will be prosecuted. The difference now is that families will be kept together inside a detention center indefinitely. And that's likely to trigger lots of legal challenges because children are not supposed to stay there over 22 days. Today, we had a surprise visit from the First Lady, Melania Trump. She came here to McAllen, the border between U.S. and Mexico. She wanted to see firsthand how these migrant children are treated at this kind of facilities. She went to a center called Upbring New Hope. There, 58 children are living. 6 of them were separated from their families. And one of the first questions that she asked the people taking care of them is, how often do they get to contact their families? And the response was twice a week over the phone. I also had the opportunity to talk, I would say, to the lucky families, those that were released from detention centers after a short stay, 6-7 days. One of these women, her name is Magda, a Guatemalan immigrant. She escaped Guatemala with her 3 kids. She was tired of the extortion from the gang. She was telling me she couldn't take it anymore. She was afraid for her children. So she was apprehended at the border, transferred to one of these detention centers, and she told me that as soon as she arrived with her children, she was able to keep her 4-year-old. But her 2 teenage kids, a boy, 12-year-old, and a girl, 16-year-old, they were taken away from her. She was only able to see them for 20 minutes once a day. Magda also shared another story with me of this boy that had not seen his mother for 5 days. So President Trump, as you mentioned in the opening, he did sign an executive order finishing this kind of practice. But he also insists that the immigration system is broken. Let's take a listen.
We have to house them, and we should be taking good care of them, and then we should return them back home. I signed a very good executive order yesterday, but that's only limited. No matter how you cut it, it leads to separation ultimately. I'm directing HHS, DHS, and DOJ to work together to keep illegal immigrant families together during the immigration process and to reunite these previously separated groups.
A defense official told the U.S. media that the Pentagon has been asked to provide housing for up to 20,000 migrant children inside military bases. As you can imagine, this is already raising lots of questions, especially from the Democrats. Now, at this moment, there is so much uncertainty. What's the plan to reunite these families? At least it hasn't been shared with the public, and it's definitely not with the media. Also, other questions, it's how many of these undocumented children do we have here in the United States? Tomorrow, we're expecting another vote in Congress. Hopefully, they're trying to address some of these issues. But after everything I've seen here in the past 2 or 3 days, to me, it seems that the immigration system of the United States, it's broken beyond repair.